I'll let grab her. Oh, you told her.
all of a
Okay.
sudden,
Just so we know.
this one is a baby.
Yeah, you're pretty busy, maybe?
Yeah, I still do all the bookkeeping. Keeps me in touch with Toby, kept me in touch with Stan.
Good, good. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, this is the picture I have. And then I have one of Toby.
Hi, how are you doing? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hi, Ken. Nope, not at all. Just coming to say hello. I can even recognize you.
Is that the Dorothy swimmer behind you?
That's him.
Oh, we've met.
Yes, we have.
That's Ryan. Hi, Gail. Yes, of course. Sorry, bad occasion, but it's lovely to see you. Here we are. I've never been, and I know he's been coming here for years.
Yeah, David came, well, that's Toby. David came out.
Did he really come up to the house?
David in his 80s. Remember when Sandra drove me to these down there? David could walk up the river.
Write the number down.
That's a long way.
You stand for 20 plus years before you pass it.
I was in the room with Toby. I never met his mom. You know how he was. Well, I answered that as just the civil.
That's not another one.
So is there?
Still playing tennis? Still playing tennis. Haven't switched to pickleball yet? No.
Switched to golf, but
What about you? Playing?
Actually, not as much as I used to, but still.
A little bit. Online.
Well, and at the club once in a while. But mostly online. So what are your facilities?
Maybe.
Is it San Jose State? Yeah. Playing water polo.
You still swimming?
I do, yeah.
Play water polo.
actually I was
Just,
back under the sweeper.
yeah, just sit for now.
We came down.
Yes.
We can
Yes.
reorganize.
They were cutting
Well,
it all the
shit.
time.
Yeah.
The gal is still in Texas.
Angie's in Texas. right. That's right. That's right.
Yes, I'm sitting on it. It's not-
For Liz, for Liz, for Liz.
I'm sitting on it.
Oh, they're back closing. I see.
chairs here, that works. So this is the best shape over here. We put some chairs over here, you think?
And then we'll stand that way then, to speak or whatever.
A few months ago.
Not some space? I can try. Behind that, is that flat or
Slowly
not so
coming
flat?
back.
Not too flat. Can I try?
All of a sudden.
Here's the best shape.
And we can do our head straight that way or it doesn't
We could
really
also have chairs in the street if you want. Chairs there. Jose, maybe some in the street.
Uh-huh.
After 6 years, the kids graduated. High school, a year or so.
I think we'll put some in the street.
Back to now.
Should I move?
For high school.
Am I fine? You're gonna bring it in now? Yeah. To do that. Yeah, thank you though for clarifying this.
There are a couple chairs. I think they're just for those of you to sit.
How old were you? I had a similar story. There was something that I literally cut out.
Bring the chair here. Yeah, please bring it. Whether it's there or not, somebody will sit there. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm Jessica. I'm an old friend. You are? Okay, yeah, I saw this.
So you were 32, and 33, and when did you go back to school?
I was after my second undergraduate.
So,
How old are you?
my sister started I know Toby went email me.
Go back to the Bay Area. Isn't that where well, there's action in there's action in Seattle also, right? He's tied up the next 5, 7 years. At least. Not so little.
Yeah, I'm almost back to
Physical office to Pleasant Hill.
It's been a long run.
So there is a little office. Who's there? Who's there? Maybe parents. Rather go sit there. It's not far. It's a building. Martinez.
I'm gonna tell you now.
I talked to Toby Green this morning. I said, I talked about it.
There's something important and production efficiency wise in an office. Sitting in an office, you get stuff done. They're there. They've always gone. They're there.
He's my guy.
Right?
Oh, thank you. Kathy, you haven't met my daughter Terry, have you? Oh, you have? Okay, good. I met them all. Oh, there she is. Hi. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Okay. It's been a rough year with him. Yeah. It's been rough. No, I live with Stan. Well, you were living with him for 7 years.
Yeah, she was taking it.
Yeah, we live in the same house.
Yes, outside Phoenix.
Yeah, a long time. Yeah.
Liz?
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just,
Stan's cousin.
it's in there in the house. Yeah, everything I touch, or I can put this basket away with all the meds and everything I do. But I got to see we were in
I've seen everyone in 2 years.
he sure works. Oh yeah, it went down fast. When I first moved in 7 years ago, he was walking, we were going out to the yeah, it's
No, I know, it's like, it looks like a little, it's a building and it has a bunch of rooms. It's like a
Thank you both for coming.
The desks match, the desks all match, the file cabinets match. It's
1990. Yeah, I think I met him in 1980. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Jimmy, no, my son, I live in that town of Montessori, South Montessori.
Has you been there recently?
Yeah, 3 weekends ago. Probably went to Polo. I've never been to Polo.
Oh, a polo match. I heard he has a new house now.
To go around.
I learned that
Yeah.
at Polo. I'm serious.
You know, it's nice. We're entertained to watch the game, right?
At from my phone. Yeah.
That's life, sometimes they do things on the game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyone who wants to.
Yeah, the concert. I mean, it's a concert though.
When we after we load him in.
Yes.
We knew where it was, so the sign faces that way, it doesn't face where you're coming. On the place of storage, grass and everything. In the next cemetery, next door, Christian cemetery, you can not turn left again, right next door. Right? There's no more than, we used to have one over here. Yeah.
Oh, no, I know what happened. Well, stop. But I knew that I was going to get it. Well, how long? Waiting for the physical and come out of nowhere. He's like, like the him was like, to me it was like Chef, it was like, everybody in the front row. So as a goalie, my house I wanted.
I kind of got the feeling, but I didn't want to play. I was about to say I'm so grandson, but then I didn't want to offend you. I was on the fence. I guess it's been a long time. Maybe my bar mitzvah or something. I got it, it's on my car.
Yeah.
That's my mom. That's Gail. In white is my mom, Gail.
Sorry, Jessica. Oh, I don't like her. And then they're so long, they take rice and work.
I can't speak about her now. She actually has the plot in between. my this is your grandfather. This is your grandfather's grave. Yeah, it's a Cohen. If you're Cohen. Yeah. Yeah, that's why this is a Cohen.
Dave, you seen the picture? I'll send you a picture. I haven't spoken in mud.
So I've just gotten over
Toby had it, Toby had it.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Oh, now he's coming out. Great. I really wanted to go.
But he wasn't supposed to.
There's a flip side.
We should have. Toby and I stood in his bed that night for research, and they told us he went.
If you want to visit her, I mean, ask the funeral director. Well, you're with her. Well, I'm glad we got to figure out who I am. Yeah.
Yes.
It's amazing that you moved here.
First they said 12, but then
He knew that he accomplished everything, and then some.
that doesn't work. We don't want it.
He was at, remember he was at my wedding.
Oh, he did.
For our wedding. We had a rabbi there that really appreciated it, but he was under there as
We do all this. We do this all the time. We do it for everyone.
I know I was freaked out when you screwed up. I
mean, it all started in COVID. COVID, so funerals, weddings, all that.
Lady and I were sitting in New York, and my dad came in.
So that the family could watch it. Doesn't matter where you want to go. New York. Oh, that's insane. Yeah.
June of '94. I spent the whole year with them.
They can't do that.
And then we got married in Palm Beach.
Ironically,
Well, you know, it's
Yeah, it's Frank Old He's a good friend of mine. I grew up with him.
Yes.
There's a great restaurant there.
Yes, he's got the restaurant.
yeah, and I'm not sure what happened. That's what Toby was in charge.
Oh, they have a Jew center. Yeah.
Yes.
How's the Jew center?
I'm sure. Is he involved in that?
He's not. Well, it's a separate. But actually, his daughter got married. So beautiful person. All glass.
Somewhat older.
He bought that property.
You know,
Dead center of Malibu. Jim?
The last time we did, we just went to
Someone moved out there. Exactly. Moved out there. Maybe their son got Camille.
Stan talked about you. I guess not very much.
30 years?
Yeah.
I met him. Stories. Getting a job. You know his dad?
I think they intend to move until they die.
Elizabeth be okay.
Well, I'm serious. They came there. I would still be fine with them. They came because they chose to.
I know more about from talking to somebody.
was actually a fan.
That I didn't know.
He would come up and he would, so he always had stories, and Stanley was that story, you know, he carried that magic.
That I didn't know. Yeah, and he visited. What do you do about it? I would build houses also. And he and I go back to 18 years old.
You're in LA?
Here in Seattle.
Our older daughter was a neighborhood.
You were part of this trouble days, huh?
No, after. Believe it or not, after. Just after. Yeah, just after. He was in trouble in the mid-70s. He was already 30. So he had trouble. Also had I met him in 70. You can't explain it.
He's such a unique individual.
Most days. Whether it was back in the day, it was phones and emails. Every bit of my life.
My cousins were so anxious and everything. He even gets mad because my cousin's wife drives. Wants my cousin to drive. They got a big van.
Copy and somebody. But they had two girls that was happening.
40, 60 years.
Anyway, they kept saying, yeah, gossip and stuff. The gal standing by the phone, he says, tell her I love her.
Tape measure on his hip.
My second.
so you get to see them. That's a whole lot there. Fly across the
Yes.
Parenting is so different now.
You slept.
Y'all looked over at Sierra, what's Sierra?
Okay. And I'll figure out.
He's living here.
Oh yeah. Zoar is the older one. She's 3 and just sharp as a Oh yeah. Still pointing. Absolutely. Doesn't mean anything. But it was very obvious at the time. All adults know that.
It's amazing how different they are too. When they grew up, one of them said to the other, if you want to sister, just nothing. But the other joke,
And how old are they now?
57 and 54. You just have the two kids. Loves animals. She loves her
Yeah, yeah.
she's married to him and had 3 children.
In my lifetime, see, I never felt there's no question about choices.
Yeah, it is.
My grandmother suffered through
Okay, so yeah.
the 7th. She told me, had she known, even despite more mobile than you are, but not sure.
Some chairs over here where everyone's welcome to stay in the shade. You don't want a book, you have some books there. You want to go home with you? Yes, now?
Adonai ma'adam v'teide'eu ben enosh v'techashveyu Adam lahevel dama yamav kesel over v'boker yatzitz v'chalav la'erev yimelu v'yavash v'imne shemenu ben haida v'navi l'vav chachma shmor tamurei yashar k'achris v'yishalim. Hashem, what is man that you recognize him, the son of a frail human that you reckon with him? Man is like a breath, his days are like a passing shadow. In the morning it blossoms and is rejuvenated. By evening it is cut down and brittle. According to the count of our days, so may you teach us. Then we shall acquire a heart of wisdom. Safeguard the perfect and watch the upright. The destiny that man is peace. But God will redeem my soul from the grip of the lower world, where he will take me to Selah. My flesh and my heart yearn, rock of my heart, my portion is God forever. Lest the dust returns to the ground as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Shmuel Reb David HaKohen, otherwise known as Stan to all of us. And to me, I always call him the Kohen Gadol. Shmuel is a very unique individual, even amongst what we would call unique individuals. He always stood alone and marched, I would say, to his own beat. He was a non-conformer of the highest order. I'm getting approval there. In fact, the first time I met him, he pulled up outside the synagogue in his yellow race Honda motorcycle. That was Stan. He didn't come quietly. He came with a roar. And he came with young Toby, who was 4 years old at the time, for their first interaction that when I met them. That relationship remained strong from then until today and forever. Watching him watch Toby get called up to tie the Torah that first time to the synagogue, and you knew at that moment that Stan had only one focus in this world over everything else. That was to make sure to raise Toby to be a good son, to be a good Jew, to be proud of his heritage, proud of his Torah. And this, we can all say thank God, he accomplished flying colors. And Stan took that really from his father of David Kahan, for those that knew him, who would come to visit us. Stan came from a long lineage of great scholars. I talked about grandparents and great-grandparents, and I got to meet his father David. Even at 90, in his mid-90s, he would come up to Walnut Creek and spit words of Torah wherever he went. He had the entire Talmud in his mind, and he carried that fervor over to Stan. And Shmuel lived with that in his own way, definitely in his own way, but he lived with all of the spirit and teachings that his father gave him. Before we continue, we're going to ask, it was customary to ask forgiveness from the deceased, even if you've done nothing wrong. It's a way of making a final peace and farewell. So I'm going to ask. There's no formal wording, it's just your own personal communication, you know, to speak it. And everyone can take an opportunity over would like. Perhaps phone the group and do the tree of the rendering of the garments. Customary to rend the garment or sun on the left side of the arm. Rest of you, Lord of God, from the universe, the true judge. We stood together on many, many special occasions, Toby. Toby and Gail, celebrating life from a young age, raising a Jewish family in a very difficult place. And as I said before, we'll continue to say, and what I'll say is that he carried that flame of Torah to instill that in his son, Toby, every day of his life. In Parsha this week we talk about Kiseitzi la Milchama, about going out to battle and overcoming our enemies in the physical sense, in the spiritual sense. And Stan was one of those fighters who went out and found favor, and people found favor in him. And he used that favor to get involved in the community, whether it was the day schools, whether it was the preschools, whether it was the community center, our shul, building, with himself getting involved actually to help build our first temple on Main Street. He did all the remodeling there, and it was hands-on to make sure that everything was being done right. Rav Shmuel leaves a legacy that he is certainly most proud of. When I got the call to come to Eretz Yisrael, to Israel for the wedding, he came down there, Gail, Stan, Toby, Leah, celebrated the beginning, and Baruch Hashem, that has continued even more so. There's no doubt that Stan probably didn't think in the 70s that he would see what he saw. He didn't think he would accomplish and get to where he got. Not that he wasn't a dreamer, but he was a realist in his own mind. And he ended up accomplishing everything that he really wanted. And that is Stan. He was a man who never gave up, and when he goes up to heaven, continued to fight to bring down Mashiach Tzidkenu, to bring down redemption to the world, to fight on behalf of his family, his grandchildren, and for all of us that are close to his friends, and those who are near and dear. There's no doubt that he will ultimately accomplish his goal. Mishmar leDavid, Adonai Roi Le'echsa, B'nei Sheyavitzeni, page 6. Aleinu Shem Keinu Tzedem Shmei Ganti Ele V'Geit Salma B'Shleir Rafiate Madi Shiv Techav Nisham Techai Mirachamuni Tare Lefonai Shunen Tzedem Shanu Shem Reish Keshivaya Abti V'Chesed V'Chesed Adonai Leirech Yavim. A Psalm of David, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yes, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Here. Thank you, everyone who came here in person, and everyone who's also watching, and everyone who sent me over the last few days, as most of you did, messages, called me, sent me photos, stories of my dad. It's been a lot of love and support. Many people have been really impacted by my father. I heard people call him in the last few days their favorite cousin. Friends of his say he's the most impressive man they've ever met, the best father figure they've ever had. And I want to tell you all, people know, more or less about my dad, and but I want to talk about his life story and then a few things he taught me. He was born in 1944 in the Bronx, New York, and my grandparents buried right here Shlomo and David, Sally, my great-grandfather, Shlomo, buried right here. My grandparents came from Europe, fleeing the Germans. And when my dad was 5 years old, they moved to Los Angeles, where he grew up. People, growing up here, but people always said that he retained a piece of his New York attitude. He was always a New Yorker at heart. And from early on, he was well loved in the family. Nell, his cousin, was telling me how when they were kids, they would just run around the house and play, and she totally adored him. He had a difficult family life at home. My grandmother, may she rest in peace, Zichron Livracha, her parents and three of her siblings were killed by the Nazis in Poland. And it made a troubled home for my dad. And when he was 17, he dropped out of school, started hustling straight away on the streets. He used to buy guitars from pawn shops and sell them to hippies in LA. He got more and more involved in the whole hippie scene and movement. He ended up moving to San Francisco, opened his first clothing store, Xanadu, in the Haight-Ashbury, right in the heart of the hippie movement. And from the get-go, it was very successful, the store. And he was very entrepreneurial. When he couldn't buy clothes because a local wholesaler refused to sell them, he went to Chinatown and he made his own clothes. Started selling those around the country, and he became Kahan of San Francisco. He was always proud of being a clothing designer. And after that whole era, the hippie movement, he struggled with addiction. He ended up back at his parents' house, broke in his 30s, trying to sober up. And I only mention that because from that low point, he rebuilt his whole life back up again, from a very low place. He woke up one day and he told himself he's never going to use again, and he never did after that. He started painting houses, driving taxis, and my grandfather, Zichron Livracha, who was a diamond broker, he had invested a bit in real estate, and he told my dad, my grandfather went to a foreclosure auction. He told my dad, this could be a good business for you. Within a few months, my dad had flipped his first house. And from there, he just kept rolling, the second one, the third one. At the beginning, he did all the work himself, eventually hiring people and building up a company. And he just kept growing it until, his final days. He was still working from his hospital bed. In this past visit, he was still sending us emails, what to do, what to list this condo for. So until the very end, he worked. When he met my mom in Santa Cruz in 1981, he was already a successful businessman again. They had a great decade together before I was born. They traveled, they really enjoyed each other's company. And after a few years, they decided to open a pizza restaurant, which many of you have been inside and eaten the pizza. And they took the inspiration from Pizza My Heart in Santa Cruz and Fat Burger, put the two together, and they opened Fat Slice in 1985, which everyone knows it was a Berkeley institution. Even now, after it's closed, I can't go a few months without someone telling me, "Oh, your parents were the owners of Fat Slice." It's something amazing that he had success in retail, real estate, restaurants, but after all that, he still was unfulfilled, and it's because he deeply, deeply wanted to have children and have that kind of family. So my parents looked around for a surrogate. They eventually found Catherine, my biological mother, and they never hid this reality from me. Some people hide that from their kids, but my mother and father always told me the truth about everything, and about my birth as well. And I had a relationship with my birth family, and my father actually really impacted them as well. He helped Jared, who's here, launch his career. He came out and worked for the company a few years. Sean, another brother, said that my dad is the best father figure. He's his role model as a father to this day, and they only maybe met 15 times, and that's who he thinks of. And even though he was 45 when I was born, he still acted like a young dad. We used to go skiing up in Tahoe. He had boats always. We'd go boating. We went on hikes. He rented RVs. We went camping. We played football in the park. We'd watch classic movies at home, and we'd go to the Chabad house with Rabbi Kagan. And most of all of those things we did with my best friend Matt, who's here today. He came along on a good chunk of those trips, and he was like a second father to Matt. And the whole time, all those years, all those trips, driving in the car, he was teaching me, constantly teaching me about life. He was always imparting his wisdom on me. He gave me thousands of years of Jewish wisdom, of world wisdom, and he gave it to me in all those years that we spent together. In 1999, he had his first liver transplant. And I found a letter that he wrote me in case he didn't survive, which thank God he never had to give me. But in about 4 or 5 pages, he summed up his whole life philosophy and all the lessons he gave me. Thankfully, he had 20 more years to teach me those lessons in person, but I'm going to share a few of those teachings now so that maybe we can all learn something and carry something with us. He taught me business. He taught me how to run our business, the company I'm running, that I took over from him, but he just taught me general strategy, negotiation. He told me to let the other guy talk and wear himself out. Never let an aggressive negotiator roll over you. Always take your time, think things through. Take a break and think over before you rush into something. Any success I've ever had in business, it's entirely thanks to my dad. Everything I know, he taught me. He also emphasized physical, mental health. We never had junk food. We never had soda. When my friends at football had Gatorade, I had iced raspberry lemonade he made at home and that he added salt to for electrolytes. He put me in martial arts so I could always defend myself. And he wrote and taught me in that letter, he wrote that your body is the vessel that carries your mind and your soul through life, and you have to treat it well. He taught me how to quiet my mind, how to meditate. And he was a very fiercely proud Jew his entire life. Even in his hippie days, he visited Israel. But his real spiritual energy came from Vedanta, from Hindu swamis. And, you know, this, even though I've become more religious and I consider myself an Orthodox Jew, my spiritual heart, a lot of it is what he passed me. And those have gotten me through my worst moments. He wasn't particularly religious, you know, I won't go into it, but he wasn't particularly religious. He was spiritual always. But when I was born, he knew if he doesn't do more, if he doesn't do the work, that I could just, you know, fade away, assimilate, that his roots, his children his grandchildren wouldn't be Jewish. So he did the work. He took me to Tehillah. He had me light candles and make Kiddush every Friday night. He was always asking me to do more and learn more and bring more of that Judaism into our house. He took me to LA regularly to visit my grandparents. I went to shul with them. And he always preferred to go to the Happy Minyan downstairs where the guys are singing, dancing, banging the tables. That was his type of Judaism he could really get into. And he told me lots of stories of my grandfather. My dad, despite taking a whole different route in life, he always respected my grandpa. He told me stories from the shtetl of how well learned my grandfather was, what he did in business as a diamond broker, everything. And it's really thanks to my dad that he put in the time to tell those stories that I feel so connected to my grandparents and to my family. And it's due to all of that Jewishness, that Yiddishkeit that he gave me, that I moved to Israel. I made Aliyah. I met Leah. I served in the Israel Defense Forces. All of that is really thanks to him and what he taught me. He supported the Jewish community, as Rabbi Kagan said. He installed the floors in the Chabad house, the first one in Walnut Creek. He always maintained a close friendship with Rabbi Kagan. And I would always see Rabbi Kagan coming over to our house, just speaking with my father. When I lived in Israel, we rededicated a park my grandfather had donated. And my father dedicated another park after my grandmother's family, the Amsters, both in Ariel. And I'm going to read a little something he told me at my bar mitzvah speech when I was 13. I found the bar mitzvah speech too. He said, Toby, our people were dispersed to the four corners of the earth. We took up different languages, we adopted local customs, and yet we did not vanish into the fog of time. Others have come and gone, but we are still here. We have a binding tie, a rock to stand on, that prevented us from melting away. And that rock, Toby, is the Torah. So carry on, my son, carry on. And Dad, I will carry on, and I know your grandchildren will too. And the last lesson that I'll share, and the most important one, was about finding a partner in life. In that letter he wrote me when I was 9, he wrote, the most important undertaking you will ever do is to find a compatible life mate. All else is nothing. He taught me to look past physical beauty and find someone who would treat me well and help lead a calm and peaceful life with me. And when he met Leah, he knew I had done well. He loved her, and he was intensely proud that I had found a smart, loving, sweet Jewish woman to marry. And after the birth of our second daughter, he told me, Toby, now you have a real family. And Leah and I both feel that to be true. My entire life, I spoke to my dad almost every single day, in person, when I was a kid, and later on the phone, by email. Sometimes I'd wake up in the morning, I'd have 8 emails from my dad. He never stopped imparting his wisdom and personality on me. He sent me stories, news articles, business advice, songs, movie clips. And he loved me more than anything else in his life. I know it, and he told me that, but he made me feel it as well. I'm grateful, and I'm really happy. I've had, in the last few years, I've been telling him that I'm so grateful for him, that he was the best father, that I loved him so much. And I told him again over this past week. And everything I've talked about now is stuff I've known for years. You know, he didn't tell me all of this on his deathbed. He's been giving me this since I was born, really. But the one thing I've realized since he passed away that I never realized before was that he wasn't just my dad, but he really was my best friend. I went to him with everything. Any question, anything, I always knew he was there. And it gave me the strength that if something came up, I could ask him. And now, I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. So, goodbye, Dad. I love you so much. You were the best father. You were a great man. I'm so proud of you. And I will carry on your memory and the memory of our people until the day I die. I love you. All right. Matt. Yeah.
Hi everybody, my name is Matthew Klein. I'm Toby's childhood friend. I met Toby in preschool at the JCC. After we graduated, Toby and I went to separate elementary schools. My mom, while grateful for our friendship, figured we would drift apart. Stan was the one who saw the strength of our friendship and made sure that we put forth the effort to stay together. Due to Stan, I now not only have a best friend, I have a brother, Toby. One of Stan's defining qualities was his curiosity. He had so many interests and always adding more, and was self-taught. His favorite thing to do was to pass this knowledge on to Toby, and by extension me. I have many fond memories of him taking us to retired aircraft carriers, introducing us to classical movies such as Mad Max, Chinatown, The Old Man and the Sea, and most importantly, educating us on the intricacies of the real estate business. I have learned so many lessons from Stan. Over the years, whenever I go on trips, I never felt like I was tagging along. He made me feel like a key part of the family, and he cared for my knowledge and for my growth almost as much as Toby's. When I was in my late 20s, I had graduated school and I was a little lost. I remember him always checking in with me, offering me to pay for my education. He was always concerned and always wanted me to grow. I was lucky enough through Stan to have a brother in Toby. However, I didn't only just gain a brother. I had Stan, who was a father to me too. I love you, Stan. I love Hashalom.
You know, it's hard. They pretty much covered it. There's another kind of a cute Stan, one of my Stan lessons, was Stan would tell me whenever I whined, if it was easy, they'd all do it.
Sure.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Drake, and Stan was, I think we call each other best friends. I know there were others that he made me feel like I was his only best friend, and like Toby, I ran everything in my life since I was 18 years old. I met Stan in 1978 in Santa Cruz, California. I grew up without a father in Pennsylvania, and I came out to California with $600. I was living with a roommate, and the roommate had a girlfriend who knew Stan, and Stan was this sharp, hip, slick, and smart, hip, slick commuting. He had a handful of tickets. They were $29 on Western Airlines that he'd come up every weekend.
I have flown as Stan Kahan. That's how much time has changed.
Yeah, that's right. And eventually, and we're the odd couple. Even the rabbi was asking me, well, how did you know Stan? Because I'm not Jewish, and but somehow I made him laugh, and he was honestly, yeah. Somehow he liked me because I made him laugh. I was from Philadelphia area, and I liked him because I never knew anybody that was smart. I didn't grow up around business, and this guy was smart. He knew me. I was a salesman. I was a telemarketer trying to earn, a couple $100 a week, and he liked me, and he took me under his wing. He said, "Come down to L.A." And we had some friends that knew him from L.A. They said, "Oh, you got to go to Stan's house." And Stan said, "Yeah, I got a house by the beach. It's in Venice." And I thought, this guy's going to be so slick. He's going to have this great house at the beach. Turns out I went down, and it was in Mar Vista, and I think he painted it himself. It was full of red, deep blue, pastel, like some leftover paint he found. And I remember it was a teardown. And he said, yeah, they're going to build condos on this property. And I was so impressed. And we got some food, and I said, Stan, you got just a story that I never forgot. I always reminded him of it. I said, Stan, you got a fork, some silverware? He says, yeah, go in the kitchen in the drawer. And I opened up the drawer, and believe me, the house, no woman had ever been in this house. It was a total bachelor pad, filthy. Anyway, I slide open the drawer, and there were a spoon and a fork, and they both said Western Airlines on them. And I knew then that this was my soul brother. And there's no way I could tell you folks all the love and all the joy and all the laughter and all, like Toby talked about. 45 years of friendship, I can't talk about it in a minute or two, but I'm not going to keep you out here in the sun. I'll just tell you this. He made me smarter than I am. He inspired me. He was such a figure to look up to. He was fearless. We would go in bad neighborhoods, and he was fearless. I was scared, twice his size. I was scared. He was fearless. And his lack of materialism, there wasn't 1 ounce of materialism in Stan Kahan. He did not care, and it inspired me. And he always told me, when you make money as a salesman, I'll help you. And he helped me my whole life. There's nothing about me that's self-made. I got every good thing I know about life and a business, and I ran every single thing in my life, every relationship, every interaction with people, every business idea. I ran everything by Stan Kahan, and he made me smarter. And, and I told Toby, yeah, it's a sad day, but this guy is with us forever. Till I'm put in a grave. This guy is with me. I never had a father, and this guy just made me, want to be a better person. And I know that I am a better person because of him. So, man, I'm going to miss him. That's it. Thank you.
Well done. Well.
Anyone? How's our time? Does anyone else want to say a few words?
I just want to say a short poem by Dylan Thomas. While lovers may be lost, love is not, and death shall have no dominion.
Thank you.
Anyone?
Here. I don't know if any of you know me. My name is Jared. I'm Toby's brother. I wanted to say a few words. I felt like I should because of the effect and the fatherhood that he inspired. And I grew up without a father, and I've gathered many father figures in my life. And Stan certainly was one of them. I've known Stan since I was 5. And when I was 18, I didn't have the money for college, but I had the drive, and he saw it in me. He invited me to come out and work in the company and learn construction, and I spent 3 years learning that trade, and I took it back to Phoenix and started a career in it. The advice, as everyone else said, that he gave is next level. It pushed me forward into business and family. Watching Stan, like the other father figures in my life, but Stan particularly, raising Toby, the way he spoke to him, how kind he was, and just like Toby was saying, that he was always imparting wisdom whenever you were with him. I don't think he ever stopped talking about anything. He would just keep talking, and it was always inspirational. And I bought my first house at 24 years old at a foreclosure auction during the '08 crisis, and I was against about 400 people, and thanks to Stan's advice, I called him almost like 5 minutes before that auction. I talked to him the day before, but 5 minutes before I needed kind of like a pep talk, and that pep talk got me that house. I was bidding against 10 other people, and there's a method, and he mastered it. That house, I later, I went through a divorce, and I traded that house for custody of my youngest daughter. And I know it's not exactly something that was involving him, but I bought that house because he taught me how to buy houses. I bought that house and I made it beautiful, and I remodeled it because of the skills I learned in the company. And the reason I got custody of my daughter was because of that house. If it hadn't been for all that, my life would have been far different. Stan was certainly a father to me, and I'll miss him terribly. But as others said, he's not going anywhere. He lives in my heart, not just in my memory, forever, until I die. And I just want to say thank you for the love and wisdom. And when I needed help or helping hand, he was there. I became a man in those few years that I worked in this company, and it was because of his guidance. Thank you.
Anyone? All right, we're gonna. Yeah.
Please rise to the memorial. Page 9. O God, full of mercy, who dwells on high, grant proper rest on the wings of the divine presence and the lofty levels of the holy and the pure ones. Shine like the glow of the firmament with the soul of Shmuel HaKohen and of David HaKohen, who went on through this world because they will contribute to charity and remembrance of the soul. May his resting place be in the Garden of Eden. Therefore, may the Master of Mercy shelter him in the shelter of his wings for eternity, and may he bind his soul in the bond of life, Hashem is his heritage and may repose in peace on his resting place. Now let us respond. Amen.
Amen.
Elim olei rachamim, shochei meroimim, oyam etzei, menuchon echoina, akanfei ashchina, b'mai lois hakdoshim u'torim, Kezer kiyamazirim es nishmas Reb Shmuel v'Reb David shalach li'olamai Bav shenod u'tzedok kabaras kol nishmasai Tiganei dentei menuchasai Elochein v'alarachamim Yasrib zizig nafav li'olamim B'tzara b'tzarachayim es nishmasai Adonai u'nachalasai Yenuach al mishkavai v'shalem Enai maramen. As we mentioned, Stan was a man of real estate, and I remember when he moved to his house in Concord, he was all excited. The house I came, and I thought Stan is going to buy himself a nice big house. He came in. There was a house also half. It was a project, half done, half not done. And he would sit in the backyard with the raw dirt and his folding table or whatever, and he looked like he was in Bali on the enjoying himself. So Stan is physically replacing a final resting place, as we call it here. But there's a good chance there's going to be a big condo built right on top of this. That condo will connect to the Temple of Jerusalem. And so very soon we will speedily be united again with Shalom Kodesh, with the ultimate celebration of the Kohen Gadol, of the Kohen serving in the temple again very soon nowadays.
It's the real legacy and the only legacy.
Atzur tamim falak, ifaldra pavishma, telemuna veina veltzadi v'yasharu. Atzur tamim chopayim v'yever, le'matni v'lashal, le'mat v'lamal, ve'mis v'chaye, ve'shel v'yal. Atzur tamim v'maseh, v'yever le'mataseh, chayim v'meiseh, chesed chinam lanu taseh, v'zavim v'sel v'zaseh, tzadi v'lachal atzur tamim v'rechapayim, v'alei rachamim. Hamel no the Pustal of Zuvad, Kilkodanasi the Rakamim, Satika Dardina, Lehamis Lachayesh of Yasin Korukais, Kalila Kosibenali, but you know, Nako Rakalenu Pukais, Kilkota in Rakamim, that's the other mentioning Elishanim, yeah. My sin like the Laya, Barkina MS, maybe Sumataya, Barkukia Mesdina. Shade that Kovain, Mishalim, the other, Rajbain Medina, Akel Shmeda, Yitan, Yatan Adinoi, Yitzadek, Mishpatecha, Dizak Vidavrecha, the seed came Jatecha, in the Hareaka, Midash Patecha, Tadikat Adinoi, Miasha Patecha, Dianem, Shape it, Sadik Behemet. Borg dynamics coach that said the MS never will have your defa. Sadek volume of your defa. Rakim Avidas say your neck of a sailor Malakar of your defa, get there later. Mirava Lili Asheneka will look at the Sartim Adam. Those issues of coffee, my love. Saving your journey to loss of identity, not for any logo. Sharing of the rock cover of the yash, this was oh, come say. The Lord has given and the Lord has taken. May the name of the Lord be blessed. He being compassionate, pardons iniquity, does not destroy. Time and again he turns away his anger and does not arouse all his wrath. Yeah, love should I come there, but I come to some alley and dogs, but the family will be in the country in the book. And I guess a lot of family teams to sell like I said, the show shot to obviously. Here we do what we shot, and I beg it, so don't about to rule like. Achli needs a notch, and we actually give any seller. I'll teed up the ashirish. Here, Bechway, basically, may say, Kachatel. The doctor of the breaking, now, should I have ever do you say to love? Of your dervish son, and tell you where the Mikavli on the shall have a mercy.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה. אמן. ועלמד הוא עתיד נתחדת ולחיה מתיה ולשכללה ככלה ולמפרק חיה ולמבנה כחת ירשלם ולמאקר ולחנה נוחה מערה ולעטבה ולחנה קדישה דשמיא לאתרה וזיווה וקרא ושכינתה ויצמח חוקנה וקרא ושיחה בחיי הון וביום עזבון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל תקלה חרפה וחנפה ומותנה מננה ומכל ומקל עמה בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יש שמי רב המברך לעולם על מיה יתברך. יש שמי רב וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתעלה ויתעלה ויתעלל שמי לקודשה ובריחו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה ואמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרב אמין שמי וחיים טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו והוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
I'd like to thank everyone, Yasser, Toby, Gail, and the whole family for coming. From Shmuel, he knows everyone and knows all his friends and members. Says thank you. Again. If you can form a line. Yossi, ready for a line over here? So you can form two lines over here.
One of men over here, one line of women over here.
Men on one side, women on the other, and Toby will walk through, and we'll recite together the morning.
Thanks.
Hamakom, recite together. Hamakom, Yinachem, Etchem, Usof Ta'ara Ve'elei Tzion V'Yerushalayim. May the Almighty comfort you among the mourners, Zion and Jerusalem. The omnipresent Hamakom who lives everywhere, which is the ultimate source of the Holy One, blessed be He, brings salvation, brings comfort to Toby and to his family, the only one who is everywhere at all times to bring that comfort as the memory and the love that we carry. Shmuel stays with us wherever we are, wherever that moment is, that the Holy One, blessed be He, should make it possible that we can feel the presence. Shmuel, I'm trying to stand with us. If you're asking a question, I don't know if you're able to answer. Send your question. You'll know. When you know, you'll know. Best thing you can do now.
Great job. See the whole equipment set up
The
there.
family.
Great,
Do a
thank you.
mitzvah, do a good
Anything
deed.
else you need, just let us know.
Help somebody else out.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Do a personal mitzvah. His honor, his memory.